deal? You feeling good, man?
Yeah, about as good as I can feel. Up all morning, flying all day.
Pretty all right for a working day.
Yes, sir.
Henry Williams, man. I guess I should probably turn my microphone on too.
That would be a really good idea.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Henry Williams in studio, and Henry Williams sounds like Texas. Fresh off a plane this morning. Just getting back from Nashville, a little writing session there. How long were you there?
I got there on Sunday morning.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
How often are you in Nashville?
So that was my second trip. We as in my management team and I kind of planned that I'd do it, every quarter, hopefully, once every 3 or 4 months, and go for 3 or 4 days, or sometimes maybe 2 days, and just get some rides in, try to get a show, make connections, build something there.
Yeah, for sure, man. For those of you who don't know, Henry Williams originally out of Cedar Park, Texas.
Yes, sir.
What brought you to? What do you live there still?
No, sir, I do not. I actually live in Bellville, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Which is just outside of the Houston city limits. I've been living there for almost 5 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know Brad Bowman?
Yeah, I do know Brad. Brad's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah, Brad is awesome. Brad. Yeah.
Brad was kind of the reason that I kind of really got into TCMA.
Well, I love to hear that. Yeah, Brad's a great guy. Brad's down there in Bellville, and you are Henry Williams is also a member of the Texas Country Music Association. I've seen you around these young writers. There's a certain group of you guys in our scene that something special going on with all y'all with that 100%. Group. And I love to see it. It's something that's unmistakable and undeniable when you guys are all out together, or even a couple of you, right? Like I always go back to like they're a part of that clique, they're a part of that group, right? Yeah. And you are definitely entrenched in that. Dylan Reese, Peyton Howie, L. Townley, so many great Dalton Grice, so many great young songwriters that have been here on this same show that you run with. Mm-hmm. How did you get from Cedar Park to Bellville and in this fantastic group of songwriters that we have?
So I originally moved out this way for college. I went to Blinn College for about 1.5 years. I originally wanted to be a band director. I was in marching band all throughout high school. I was in, concert band in middle school back home in Cedar Park. And I wanted to pursue that as, I guess, a lifelong career. I wanted to do something with music. And, growing up, I spent a lot of time in church. So music was always just in the family. And I figured that, why not teach it? Because, I like working with people and being social and stuff. And that kind of started to change when I got to college. A lot of life happened in a very short amount of time when I moved out there. I lost 3 grandparents in 4 months, so that really kind of put a lot of stuff on the back burner, and I kind of stopped caring about school and getting involved in some things I'm not going to say over the air. But I decided to make a turnaround. I wanted to do something I knew that would bring my spirits up, and I actually stopped playing music for about 8 months in there. I stopped playing guitar, stopped singing, because I would do it as just a hobby, and eventually I was just kind of like, man, this is really fun. It's kind of bringing a little bit of soul back into, me, because I didn't feel like I had one there for a while. And before I knew it, I played this little talent show there at Blinn College, and they were like, hey, do you want to come play, at this little award thing we do every year? And I said, sure, why not? And I agreed to it, but I didn't follow through. I actually ended up playing guitar in one of my friends' recitals at the time. And it just kind of started to blossom into me, wanting to play my guitar and sing more. And I changed my major for approximately 2 months. I went from a bachelor's in music education is what I was going for, and that turned to a bachelor's in business. But then I was like, well, you know what, screw this. I'm just going to go learn it as I go. And I dropped out of college, and it just wasn't really for me. It wasn't the path that I realized that I needed to be on. And then it started when I moved to Bellville with my then girlfriend and my best friend. They parted ways at some point in the mix of all of that, and then I just stayed. I moved into a 1-bed, 1-bath and started just writing whatever it was that was on my mind. And I started reaching out to people. I I made a few local friends that played music. There was a little bar there in the town of Bellville called Smokey's Ice House, and I met some other local musicians, and we all just kind of started hanging out, and then eventually that trickled into realizing the Kenny store was not that far away from where I lived, so I went out there and did an open mic, and I sang a few songs. Tony Krieger liked what I had, and I started doing opener slots. I opened for this band called Saints 11. I'm not sure if you've heard who they are. They were kind of more popular in the DFW area. And then I opened for Will Bannister, and it just kind of started blossoming. That's how I met Sundance Head. And I just started getting more involved in a scene that I knew nothing about. I didn't really know much about the Texas country music scene until I started to put myself in it. And that slowly kind of, I started to realize that it was a very serious thing to be involved in, and it was going to take a lot of work. So I kind of, I stopped focusing on the things that didn't matter the most, which was like, this is going to sound crazy, bills. Like, who needs to pay bills, right? Let me just go play music for free. Yeah, I learned very quickly you gotta pay bills. And so I decided to keep on trucking in it, and then I don't really remember how. Oh wait, no, I remember how. So Tony from the Kenny store had offered me an opener slot for Josh Ward, and they were having an open mic over at the Wolfpack in Sealy, which is not far from where I live as well. And up to that point, I'd just been playing a lot of acoustic shows in the area. Like, I was driving out to Kemah to play 4 hours for a very questionable amount of money. Like, just whatever I could get my hands into, really. And I did this opener slot for Josh Ward. I gave it my all, and I made a couple of new connections. And then I did this open mic, and that's how I met Brad, which kind of got me into the actual TCMA stuff.
You did Brad's open mic in Bellville?
And
or the one he hosts? Yeah.
He was hosting at the Wolfpack there for a while. And, I didn't know what to expect because I had heard through the grapevine that, it's run by Texas Country Music Association. I was like, I guess I could check that out. That sounds like it might be beneficial. And so I got there, put my guitar down. And I remember I emailed Brad ahead of time. I was like, hey, I have some questions, just some basics of like what time, is there a sign-up sheet, how long do I get to play, etc. And I walked in, he walked up to me and said, you must be Henry. I said, yes, sir. And he was like, cool, so what kind of music do you play? I was like, I play country music. He's like, well, this is run through TCMA, etc. He said, you play anywhere local? And I said, yeah, I just opened for Josh Ward last night. And he looked at me, he's like, okay, I'll be right back. And then he walked over to the sign-up sheet, walked over to a few people who came back, and he's like, you're up next. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I'm getting put on the spot. And that one open mic sparked a lifelong friendship I'm grateful for with Brad. And Brad was like, hey, dude, the award show's coming up soon. I sent a video of you to Linda. She said you should apply and, become a member. There's a lot of benefits to this, and I went ahead and did it. It took some time to think about it because I was like, okay, I had to just think about things. Usually I have to before I do something, You don't want to walk into something.
Generally, that's a good plan.
Yeah, generally. And so I did, and I somehow, by God's fate, and Brad, I should say, he got me that acoustic showcase in 24. I was up there with him. I think Peyton Riley was on the lineup, Rue Arcus. There was a couple other names. My friend Sammy Ray was doing it too. And that's when I started to meet everybody, was that award show. I met Ty Smith. I'd been friends with Dylan for a couple months up to that point. We had done, I think, a couple shows and then a few open mics together. And that's where I met Elle, and then I met Dalton, and then, Peyton Riley was kind of involved in all that. And that's how I met the core group of just the young, us young artists, which is really weird to be saying I'm a part of that group because I'm like the oldest one in there. They call me Unc.
Yeah.
You know how awkward it is to walk up to like, hey, Unc. I'm like,
yeah, no, I do know. I do know, actually.
They come up to me all the time like, Unc, how's it going? And it's like,
that's
anymore.
Hilarious, though, because I honestly thought you were in high school.
No, sir.
And then you're here today, and I see this cool tattoo on your arm, and then you got tattoos, and I'm like, okay. And then you mentioned going to school at Blinn, and I was like, okay, you are Unc.
No, I definitely am Unc.